Being started. Welcome, everyone. I'm Shelley Cook, Chair of the Colorado Transportation Commission. I'll call to order the Transportation Commission Board meeting of August 21, 2025. Mr. Stockinger, can you do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Marcano. Present. Commissioner Jones.
Also present.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Present.
Commissioner Ritter.
Present.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Present.
Commissioner Parsons.
She's excused.
Commissioner Hart.
Here.
Commissioner Masters.
Here.
Vice Chair Bowman.
Here.
Chair Cook.
Here. Thank you. Okay, first on our agenda is we don't have any swearing ins today. We have public comment, and I understand we do have some public comments. So go ahead and Herman, if you, okay. Ms. Malice? Yes, please. Hi.
Is this on? It's working. Okay. I don't want to be too loud, too quiet. Okay, so good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of 190 petition signatories and hundreds of ride sharers who use and value the El Rancho Park and Ride Lot, known to you as Disposal Parcel 33 Rev 3EX. Today, as proposed resolution number 4, the Transportation Commission will decide whether this well-built, well-maintained, functional public asset should be disposed of in order to remove less than 1/2 acre from CDOT's right-of-way inventory. The boilerplate reason for disposal is that the parcel is not needed for transportation purposes. As we speak, the constructed parking on this parcel is being used for ride sharing, a transportation purpose stipulated by the Department of Highways when it was originally leased to RTD 31 years ago. As the western terminus of CDOT's Genesee bike path, the lot continues to be a starting and ending point for cyclists, which is a second transportation use. This lot was designed into the intersection and it still performs a function consistent with CDOT's mission. The only reason offered in the disposal memo that is not boilerplate for all disposals is that the new lot has been finished nearby. A 40-space lot has been built 0.62 miles away to serve the Pegasus shuttle. There are now 76 spaces at the Evergreen Parkway I-70 interchange. If you approve disposal of the 36-space existing park and ride lot, only 4 spaces will have been gained for the $4 million spent on that new project. The 2 lots are nearly equivalent, but their locations are not interchangeable. As a transit facility, the new lot will serve only the Pegasus shuttle. The lot proposed for disposal is strategically located for multimodal connectivity. It is at the only place in the foothills where 4 local and regional public transit services intersect. There is no comparable location where it could be replaced. Future transit planning can utilize this existing resource, but disposal would squander that opportunity. At a time when multimodal transit is ramping up, the Floyd Hill project is still just beginning, and diverting traffic from I-70 is a high priority. Sacrificing this location and this functional resource is unwarranted. What excuse would be offered if the existing park and ride lot were disposed and when the new lot is full? To support transportation planning goals, both lots are needed. There is no urgency and there is no mandate to dispose. Disposal of this lot would needlessly waste public investment, and it's not supported by the people in the community who use it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Susan Wood.
Good morning, everybody. And it looks like my timing was exactly right. It's a little running to the last minute. I'm here today to give kudos. I'm Susan Wood. I work for the Regional Transportation District. I've been there for 18 and a half years. And for the last year and a half, I've been participating in a stakeholder group for the environmental clearance effort for the I-270 project. And I'm here to make 2 points. One, first of all, I really appreciate the collaboration with CDOT. RTD always appreciates that. And I think that we collaborate together very well. So it's nice to be at that table. Not only have I been able to provide environmental information, but others have joined us who provide service planning information as well. And it's nice to work together in this way. It's been, again, a great collaborative effort, and it's much appreciated. While we have no transit stops necessarily on some bridges and things that are being improved by the I-270 project, we do have service on the I-270 corridor, and that's the Flatiron Flyer, the FF5. And certainly improvements to that corridor will help us have better on-time service and better meet our customer, our riders' needs. So this is great. Second point I wanted to make is I'm a planner. I've been a planner for almost 30 years, and I have never seen a stakeholder process like this. I've seen great stakeholder processes, but this one has been outstanding. And this is really due to the project team led by Dave Marinich. Not only are there public meetings, but this particular stakeholder group has a diverse, inclusive group of people that have joined in. I mean, they're diverse from who they represent from that aspect and also from the cultures they come from. And as a result, they have very different ideas and opinions much of the time. But this is the safest space I've ever seen. These guys share their thoughts and opinions with each other in a very respectful way, even when they're very different. And I don't see that often enough. And I think at the end of the day, what will happen is that it'll be a better project with better solutions and a better outcome because of this great process. I've actually encouraged the team, you really need to submit for conferences and talk about how you put this together and how it's worked and what a good job it's done, because it really serves as an example and a template for others. So again, I came to give kudos, one for RTD's involvement and also for the process itself. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in person who would like to give public comment? All right, I think we have some folks on the internet. Is County Commissioner Julie Mullica from Adams County online? Looks like she is.
And yes.
Welcome.
Hi, how's everyone doing today? Great. My name is Julie Duran Mullica. I'm an Adams County Commissioner, and I'm here today to advocate for the completion of important community projects like the I-270 and the North I-25 work. That these projects have been on the CDOT 10-year plan for a very long time. As you know, every major highway runs through Adams County, and therefore the impacts economically for the state of Colorado are really significant. And on top of the quality of life that our residents throughout the region need to get on these highways to make it to work every single day. So the debate over I-270 isn't whether the corridor needs investment, it's how we make that investment. Adams County is committed to a forward-thinking vision, infrastructure that strengthens our economy while honoring environmental justice, climate responsibility, and mobility equity. We do not support unchecked general purpose lane expansion. Instead, we support managed performance-based solutions that prioritize equity, reduce emissions, and expand transit access. We also urge CDOT to formalize sustained equity commitments like toll credits for working families, improve low-income transit access, and localize air quality monitoring that builds community trust. I'd also like to note that Adams County is a member of the North Area Transportation Alliance, or NATA, a coalition of 13 local governments, regional partners, private entities, working to mobilize and working on mobility and congestion solutions across the North Metro area. Through NATA's partnership with the North I-25 Coalition, we're advocating for safety and operational improvements on I-25 as well, because both I-270 and I-25 are critical to Colorado's economy, and our community's quality of life. Finally, we invite newly appointed Commissioner Elise Jones and any of you really to join us at a study session with our board, or most importantly, join us on a bus tour to learn more about Adams County, the importance of these important projects, and their impact on our community. We want to share Adams County's nuanced position, reinforce NEPA transparency, and partner with you to ensure that these projects reflect modern values and real community benefits. Thank you for your leadership and for working with us on these corridors and making sure we get these projects completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others online? No. Okay, great. We'll move on then to our agenda. We have first comments of the chair and the commissioners. So I'll just go ahead and start from my left over there, Commissioner Masters.
Good morning. I just want to point out a couple of things and let everybody be aware and remind them that school has started and the crosswalks. However, most of them are in neighborhoods. We do have rural crosswalks that go through towns and cities. And I just want every one of you to please be aware, slow down. These kids are crossing the street. Just be mindful. And when you get that ticket, go ahead and pay it and don't be mad at the person that gave it to you. You're the one that broke the law. I'll save you my motorcycle, pedestrian, bicycle rant. Just suffice to say that in 2024 was probably one of the highest years we've ever had motorcycle and pedestrian bicycle fatalities. This year to date, we're down about, according to State Patrol, about 14 to 18%. It's not good enough. It was over 300 people last year, close to 300 people, motorcycles and pedestrians and bicyclists that were killed in the state of Colorado, dead, never to be here again. So please be aware of that also. And I'll save you the rant because it's not G. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Hart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of comments today, kind of following up on that safety issue. It's one of the things we talk about quite a bit here. We talk about it every month, and unfortunately, we keep seeing the difficult situation out on the highways virtually every single day. And one thing I've noticed is this time of year, I mean, there's certain peaks that we seem to notice when transportation is not only nuts, but it's like psycho nuts. And when everybody's going back to school, I definitely notice that even more in the morning and in the early mid-afternoon when schools are getting out and everything. And so my thought is I was really pleased in the work session yesterday to hear some of the results of the surveys that have been taken statewide as part of the statewide planning process about what the citizens are thinking. And it fascinated me the two top issues, or the two top issues that we talk about here on a regular basis. First is fixing our roads, that we're trying our darndest to prioritize our funding and do the best we can, but that's a continuing issue. But the second very close element was safety. And so the citizens across the state are definitely seeing this issue. And it's frankly, it's, there's a lot of discussion about what we can do at this level, but quite a bit of it has to do with driver behavior, which is each and every one of us. And so I just want to reiterate what we learned in the survey. I frankly agree with the results in the survey, but I also want to make sure that I look in the mirror and remember that if I really want to control driver behavior, the best thing I can do is just make sure I'm doing the best job myself. So that's the only comments I have this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well said. Vice Chair Bowman, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I want to, I kind of dovetailing on that, Commissioner Hart, thanks to all of who completed the surveys Commissioner Hart referred to. It was fascinating, and we sincerely appreciate the feedback. But I want to mention, I've been driving across the state. I've been in Durango and driving, I mean, literally circumventing the state. And I'm amazed, all the construction, amazing construction that's going on, improving Colorado's roads. It's just, and especially I-70. Yesterday, we've made great progress on that. So Really excited about that. And yesterday we had a wonderful rural roads update. And I just want to mention 3 different projects, how we improved the 19-mile stretch from Grand Junction to Whitewater, which is a very smooth ride now, which we absolutely love. That was 23 million. Colorado 13, Rio Blanco Hill, if you haven't driven it, we widened it, put passing lanes and wildlife crossings for 35 million. And Colorado 149, Lake City North and north of Creed, 12 million. And this was extremely encouraging. And, you know, thank you again for that update. Appreciate it.
Great. Commissioner Ritter, you're next.
Very much. Just a couple of quick thoughts. With the extensive wildfires that are going forth on the western slope, particularly in my area, do not rely on Google to inform you as to whether or not a road is open or not. They are unable to keep up with the unfortunate closings of many of our particularly county roads. And if you follow Google, you may find yourself restricted, shall we say, from going to the destination you seek. And that's just a general note that beware of where the wildfires are and plan your trips through the western slope accordingly. We would love to have you come, but please take measure as to where the wildfires are and how it may impact your travel. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Marcano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's been a month now since I've been on the commission, and I'm learning quite a bit. So I want to first let folks know that the I-70 and Piccadilly interchange is going to be improved, that whole area, in the next fiscal year or 2. So that's exciting. This was one of the first issues that I had to deal with when I got elected onto the River City Council back in 2019 was the shortfall in funding for that interchange. So I'm excited that that area is now nearing completion, and then the highway around it is going to be improved as well. And then I just wanted to share one of the things that I've actually learned over the last month, and that is the importance of rural bus networks and the connectivity that they provide rural residents with. And I was actually really surprised to learn that car ownership in a lot of our rural communities is actually lower in some cases than urban areas, which I thought it would have been the exact opposite. So something that I just wanted to share with the public so that folks, understand that it's really important for us to fund connectivity for our rural communities, especially now that we're going to potentially be facing the risk of losing a lot of those rural hospitals and clinics. So folks are going to need to be able to get to larger centers that have those services available to them. So just some food for thought for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McLaughlin.
Thank you. And as a member of rural Colorado, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was also sworn in last month, and within 24 hours after being sworn in, I started getting calls from Pagosa Springs because they've had construction downtown for a long time, and they have little sidewalks, but very little road work in there, and people are going a little crazy. So they thought, oh, she can solve this. Well, I can't, but I did address, I met with CDOT in Durango, and they've told me everything that they've been doing with Pagosa Springs. And they went to Pagosa Springs and had an in-person meeting. And the same people who called me to complain then called me to say thank you for all the work that CDOT is doing to help them out. And they knew it, but they kind of needed to be confirmed with that. So anyway, they're doing a great job, and it's just hard. They're doing, several blocks of road at a time, and they have to do it that way. But they're also getting new sidewalks, and they're getting cable set. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff at once. And so we will not be hearing from them complaining for a long time, I think, because they're going to be really happy. And just talking to them made a big difference. So I want to thank everybody who went down there. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Another newbie on the commission. I mainly want to just say thanks for everybody that has been helping and reaching out to bring me up to speed as quickly as possible. Been briefed by Jessica and Heather. Appreciate that. And all of the invitations to come meet. And certainly want to have an open door policy. So welcome that. Commissioner Malika, it was great to hear from you. And yes, the NADA meeting is on my calendar for 7:30 next week. Interesting time to think deep thoughts about transportation, but hope there's coffee. Anyway, so I look forward to hearing from more folks in the region who want to reach out and bring me up to speed on their priorities and concerns. I also wanted to thank the other members who came to give public comment. I'm a big fan of hearing directly from people, and certainly always appreciate kudos, but also issues of concern. And I'm sure we're not going to be able to address and meet everybody's desires, but it's always important to get that input. So thanks for making the time to be here. I was also, for Commissioner Hart's comments earlier, it was gratifying to hear the results of the public survey and town halls and how they really did affirm CDOT's and the commission's emphasis on those three priorities of safety, fixing our roads, and then sustainable transportation options and really expanding that. It was nice to see that alignment and know that we're sort of on track with Coloradans across the state. And then also was really heartened to hear the rural roads presentation that we were given by Director Liu yesterday. That really is a success story that CDOT should be telling about the increased investment in fixing the pavement on our rural roads and recognizing the importance of that connectivity, as Commissioner Marcano pointed out as well. So so far, it's been a great ride as a new commissioner, and I look forward to continuing that.
Thank you very much. What a great roundup. I'd echo many of the points, the need for safety, care, and driving. Sorry. Oh, Cecil. Commissioner Gutierrez, I thought I peered around to see that I had everybody. Forgive me.
That's okay. I'm clear down here in Southwest Colorado. How's that? No. Thank you, Chair. One of the good things about being the last person to go is that everybody's already made all of your comments for the most part. And so it's easy for me to just reiterate some things. And staying with the safety, I really appreciated Commissioner Masters' emphasis on school zones. And as a retired educator, that emphasis is extremely important. And then the safety issue of drivers, and I drive I-25 regularly, and construction zones, I think, are extremely, extremely critical that our drivers and our public, driving public out there understand that those construction zones are going to change day to day. And what you may have driven yesterday, the lane alignments that you see when you drive today could be very, very different. And just yesterday, driving down I-25, the new dog leg to get those lane changes, I saw some extremely, extremely unsafe maneuvers trying to get through that dog leg. And to the drivers who are out there, please be considerate and take those construction zones very, very seriously. And finally, I too want to thank Commissioner Malika for her comments about I-270 and I-25 and for completing those projects. I appreciate your comments. But I won't be there at 7:30 in the morning to attend, but I've been through those projects before, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much. And again, my apologies. I won't add much, except I went to DRCOG's RTC along with Commissioner Jones this week. And one thing they're doing is preparing for their call for projects for the 2050 regional transportation plan. We approved or recommended approval of 3 action items. The United Unified Planning Work Program, the Public Engagement Plan Update, and the Corridor Set Aside Selection. And I expect we'll hear more about this from Executive Director Liu, but also had a treat in attending the Greenland Wildlife Crossing opening. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Executive Director Liu.
Thanks for that segue. It was indeed a very neat project to be able to see. We brought Senator Bennett there, and then a week later, the governor actually visited.
Yeah.
It is, I believe, the largest wildlife crossing in the world, and kind of shows how we're integrating features that are unique to the Colorado ecosystem into the safety needs in our projects. And the footage is showing that they're being very well used in that area as others, and the potential for crash reduction is around 90% in some of these areas. So it's really a very major safety feature to be adding into our projects. And I think we're one of the global leaders on this. We beat California's by just a little bit, which is always important. Otherwise, this month is always kind of the end of season crunch. So to Commissioner Gutierrez's point, lots of changing work zones because folks are struggling to get their projects done before it gets cold. So bear with us. I would say that the next few weeks are the peak of that pinch work that sometimes happens in the early fall, but the need for it is very seasonal because if particularly with our projects in mountain areas, if they drag on much longer, you start to encounter snow and ice season. So appreciate the traveling public's patience and all of our teams working with the crews to get those projects done in a timely manner. In addition to project work, our folks have been coordinating an awful lot with first responders over the last few weeks in combating wildfires, particularly in the area around Rifle. For better or worse, our improvements on Highway 13 are showing their value right now because that's been an area that's been very much impacted by wildfire season this year, and we've had to do a number of closures coordinating with the firefighters. So great work by the maintenance team and others, and summer season has become more intensely busy for a lot of our teams over the last few years doing that work, but a lot of very careful coordination and getting that hard work done to help folks do their work in fire season. The last few weekends, we've seen a surge in really tragic fatalities as the kind of summer season wraps. And unfortunately, this is a pattern we've seen in the past, but I think this is one of the times of year when we really have to remind folks, to points we've heard earlier, to be mindful, drive safely, and pay extra attention to others on the road. Unfortunately, peak weekend traffic in the summer can go faster than it often can in the winter, and that can result in really enhanced safety situations. So it's a time of year when we just need to be particularly careful of that as we head into Labor Day and the sort of end of summer surge. I think the last thing I would flag is folks have probably seen news of the hiring freeze going into the special session of the legislature. This is obviously a really critical cost consciousness measure by the state, but I think it's important to flag that the maintenance workforce and the safety elements of our engineering team are exempt from that because of the kind of critical safety work. So we appreciate that the policy is mindful of the seasonal nature of the work that we do, and making sure that during the time of year when we do a lot of hiring in the maintenance and operations workforce getting ready for winter, I just wanted folks to know that that is not going to be affected by it, and we should be just fine in our ability to do our work. So thanks everyone for being here. I think that's all for me.
Thank you and welcome back. Okay, on to our Chief Engineer's report. Keith Stepanek, please.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair. Just a couple quick comments to follow up on some of the information that I heard this morning. The first thing I wanted to note is we are in the last day of some major lane closures up on Vail Pass. I think Commissioner Bowman mentioned the I-70 work. That was a great collaboration over the last month or so between the Region 3 team and the Region 1 team to make sure that we have temperature restrictions up on Vail Pass, that we need to get some paving done. Needed to make sure that we could get that accomplished. So The Region 3 team coordinated with the Region 1 team on Floyd Hill to make sure that some lane closures and blasting schedules were all coordinated so that if we had someone that got stuck in the Vale Pass lane closures, then they didn't get stuck in the Floyd Hill. So there's a lot of great cross collaboration between the teams, between the comms teams, the engineering teams, and the delivery teams to do that. So when we have issues like that, we try to plan them as much as we can to limit the impacts to the traveling public. But there are times that we need to have these lane closures for the safety of the workers, for the seasonal restrictions that we have up on some of our high passes here in this state. So it was great to see it work out. Been monitoring the cameras over the past few days, other than a couple car fires that have backed up some traffic up on Vale Pass. It seemed to be working very smoothly. And the Floyd Hill team was able to adjust their schedule to accommodate that. So just wanted to say thanks and appreciate the coordination amongst our teams. The second thing I wanted to touch base on, and it's one of the things I always mention, is safety. So I have a few follow-ups on some of the information that I given in the past. So this past month, we had our 4th annual Traffic Safety Summit, where we have CDOT staff, first responders, local agencies attend the conference and have a lot of great breakout sessions. And some of the breakout sessions were phenomenal. It was great to see the ideas being shared across from consultants across the country working with other local agencies, and to see how we can all tie it together. So I think there was 2.5 days of some great information that we can utilize here, use some best practices, and help drive down these fatalities and serious injuries. And it's great to see the collaboration, staff working with first responders, working with other local agencies, that just see the partnerships and collaboration in an effort to get those numbers down across our state. And then the last thing tied to safety is our automated speed enforcement. So we're 1 month into issuing warnings up on State Highway 119. We are still working out some procedural methods towards our warnings, our violations, our administration rules. But what we are seeing over the past month is we are seeing the number of speeders be reduced. We're seeing the average speed getting closer to the speed limit through that corridor. So it is doing everything that we wanted it to do. We need to continue on analyzing how many hours a day we want to run those cameras, what days, pointed to all of that. So we're working on all of that, getting ready for hopefully the violation period a little later this fall or early next year. But we continue to make sure that this program is 5 years ago is successful moving forward. So we continue to look at how we can tweak it and make sure that it's good before we start deploying it in other locations across the state. But all indicators look like we have a good program. So that's all my comments today. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief engineer? Looks like we're good. Thanks for the good work you're doing. Okay. Next up, we have, oh, here we go. Now we have the CTIO Director's Report, Piper Darlington. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nice to see you all. Wanted to just provide a little more information. I think yesterday during one of your workshops, Madam Chair talked a little bit about an action that was taken at the CTIO board meeting related to some transit support in the Central 70 corridor. This is really exciting. So I definitely wanted to provide some more background on the program itself, especially for those newer commissioners. In 2017, the Record of Decision for the Central 70 project directed CTIO to implement a tolling equity program so that we could share some of the benefits that we were going to see from those express lanes with lower income residents in the community. So there's really sort of 3 components to the program. It was approved in April of 2022 by the CTIO board. So it's been roughly operating for several years now. And leading up to the approval of that was several years worth of work with our partners at FHWA, with local community leaders. We convened groups of stakeholders. So really, we wanted to design a program that was going to benefit the community and provide a benefit that would really reflect the needs there. It's a very transit dependent community there. So a lot of work went into the development of the program that was approved back in 2022. So really the three main elements is we offer $100 of toll credits if you income qualify for that. We actually recently just changed the income qualifications to be area medium income. So the idea being we wanted to try to expand the amount of people that were eligible for that. We also offer free transit passes, and there is no barrier to entry for those. We offer them at community centers in the neighborhood, libraries, schools, so anyone can go in and pick those up at any time. We even expanded that to include, it's 10 ride local ticket books, but also monthly passes for people who are really frequent transit users in the community. And then really eligible residents can receive both benefits. They don't have to choose just one. So these benefits are really available to anyone in the community. And then we committed to giving 15% of our net toll revenue to this program and making it available. So we have been looking for ways to try to direct more benefit to the community. They're absorbing all that we're giving right now, and we haven't come close to hitting that 15%. So our board directed us to look at other options over the last several months, and we explored this partnership with the City and County of Denver and this connector microtransit kind of first mile connector service. And it was approved yesterday. Our board approved, an expansion of the program to allow for us to support this connector service. And I am really excited for this partnership because I think we went out and surveyed the community really to get their feedback on if this would be a service they would use. Over 75% of people said they wanted this service. They use the service. Right now, currently, the city only has it available Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we're going to partner with the city to expand service on the weekends. So it'll be available on Saturdays and Sundays. It really operates like an Uber or a Lyft. There is an app that people can download to request a free ride, but there is also a phone number you can call. It's available in English and Spanish. So really trying to reduce the barriers that might be there for people accessing the service. It takes people to grocery stores. It takes people to RTD stations within the neighborhood. So really it's providing an extremely valuable service. We presented some statistics yesterday looking at this. It carries an average of 90 rides per day, an average of 140 passengers. So almost 50% of those trips are also shared. So really trying to, just reduce travel through the corridor in single occupant cars. So wanted to provide a little bit more information about the service that we're going to be supporting to give the new board members a sense of sort of use of the GES tolling equity program. In 2024, we gave out almost $260,000 worth of transit passes, which was 48,820 single ride ticket books and just shy of 1,400 monthly passes. Toll credits, over $14,000 worth of credits were added, and there's almost 100 vehicles registered in the community. So we have tried to put a lot of time and effort into increasing the amount of users for the toll credits. Again, there's a little more barrier to entry there. We have to have them register and set up an account. So we have actually engaged community members to go door to door to help sign people up. So we're really trying everything we can to get the word out. We're really excited for this partnership with the connector service. We do report once a year to the commission. We put together a memo and a report on how the program is going. So you'll probably see that in January or February. So we'll have some sort of initial data on how this connector service is going. But just wanted to provide a little bit more background since I know it was brought up during one of the workshops yesterday. But happy to answer any other questions. That was my report. It was a pretty short board meeting yesterday. This was really our main topic. So I had a few minutes to kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive for those newer commissioners.
Thank you. And for commissioners too, there's an annual report that they could get in the meantime. So anybody have any questions or comments for Piper? Yeah.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, stack report, stack chairman Gary Beatty, please.
Good morning, Commission.
Good morning.
We had our stack meeting on August 7th. It was a fairly simple, straightforward meeting. We had a presentation on transit connection study, which you guys had also seen. And then we had an update on the 2050 plan as we are moving toward the adoption of that here next month. We've encouraged everybody to look at the plan on the state websites and all the regional plans, and I encourage all of you to look at all the regional plans, also not just the areas that you represent, but the statewide, so you can see the needs throughout the state. So also encourage anybody that's listening to get on the state website and make comments on the statewide plan and the regional plans through that process. There was also a presentation on the aeronautics program. And that was pretty much it. It was a pretty simple, straightforward meeting. I would like to make a few comments about the workshops yesterday. There was the rural roads workshop, which the state definitely appreciates the investment that's been made over the last several years and that focus on the rural roads. Unfortunately, it's been a problem that's been growing for 35 years since the funding has not been increasing. So that's, I think, some of the frustration the rural areas feel is we've gotten so far behind that even the new investments we're making aren't addressing all of the roads. So we would like to see as a state, and I know the STAC and even the commission and a lot of people, we need to educate the people about the shortfall we're still facing for the maintenance operations and the flexibility that that state funding offers. If we touch federal dollars, we then have to contract, and it generally increases the cost at least double, if not triple the cost to do projects, even chip sealing, those sorts of things. So if we could get state dedicated funding that doesn't have to touch federal funding, it would allow us to do a lot more work with CDOT directly done projects such as chip sealing, those things. The chip sealing, as a county commissioner, when I was county commissioner, that's how we kept our rural paved roads, because we don't have large budgets and we deal with heavy truck traffic and things on the agricultural communities. So the chip sealing is one that it was 3.7 million, I believe is what they showed on the chart. In reality, we need to be probably 10 times that. We need to be spending like 37 million on a statewide basis to extend the life of the new asphalt that has been done. And I know the regions are working hard to figure out how to do that, not touch federal funding and shift funding. They're always doing that balancing act of trying to get the most done. And I applaud our staff, engineers, and Shoshana for having that vision of giving that 25% to the rural roads because of the backlog that we have. So I encourage you and everybody to figure out how to help educate the public of that shortfall, because also federally, the federal dollars are also not keeping up. So it's a major issue for transportation as a whole, for all modes of transportation, is we need to educate the public of that shortfall that we're facing and how it's been building for 35 years. It's not just a one-time, one administration issue. It's been building through multiple administrations. So I would just ask that CDOT help us get those numbers out to the people of the shortfalls that we're facing so that we can educate them. And I think the true answer is trying to get a statewide ballot initiative. And I know that's always brought up at our STAC meetings. That's why I'm bringing it up here, is because it's a concern statewide of figuring out how to get a good, solid funding stream long-term that keeps up with inflation and isn't just continually piecemeal together, and getting those state dollars that free us up from the federal requirements that generally increase 2 to 3 times the cost of projects. So thank you on that and allowing me to make those comments. My history, unfortunately, always wants to come in. And that shortfall also, the T-Rex project was highlighted in there. That was a big bonding project that did projects throughout the state, the old 7th POP projects. It did I-70, a lot of reconstruction. Unfortunately, those are 30-year-old projects now. They're coming up in another 10 years. They're going to need to be starting to be rebuilt also. You start to see the cracking and things. That's the first signs. So we're facing a long-term shortfall. And a lot of those projects that were invested in 30 years ago are going to be coming up to need rehabilitation. Even the T-Rex projects is already 20 years old. So, within 10, 20 years, that reconstruction and major rehabs start to have to be done. Just to share some costs that engineers have shared with me, bridge joint is used to be 250,000. It's now approaching close to $500,000 for a bridge joint repair. And the chip seal I already mentioned, those costs have drastically increased over the years. So those costs just keep going up and we're not keeping up. So anything CDOT can do to help us inform the public and share those numbers. It's great to say the things we've done because we need to let them know how we're managing the money as best we can. But we also need to let the public know the shortfalls we are truly facing. And then the 270 project that was mentioned, couple of them, that project is critical to the whole state. A lot of our ag products, like the wheat that we were just harvesting, a lot of that will come in onto that 270 corridor to Ardent Mills to be milled into flour, to then be distributed around Denver and the Front Range to be made into all of our bread products. So that 270 is very critical to be improved for the freight community. I've also served on the Freight Advisory Committee, helping guide those investments for freight, and a freight delay for a truck can suddenly increase major cost that goes up through the whole chain. So since 270 is such a major freight corridor and it connects all the major interstates in the state, 76, I-25 and I-70, it's very critical piece to the entire system. So it would be good to get that project moving forward sooner than later to help address those congestion issues for the freight industry, especially because that area is so heavily into the manufacturing, distribution, and all those things that support the entire state. It's not just that region of Denver, it's the entire state that relies on that corridor to help supply the area. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Chair Beatty? I always appreciate your agricultural and rural as well as the stack perspective. So thank you. I'm really banking on this surge, this 382 million in the next 4 years, and all the other work they've done. For example, increasing the limits that allow us to do more of our own work. So yes, I agree with you in all the efforts being made. Okay, so now we're on to the consent agenda. Commissioners, I'm going to go ahead and pull Resolution 4 and ask that we vote on the consent agenda without that resolution. In other words, Resolution 1, the regular meeting minutes of July 17, proposed Resolution 2, IGA approval for amounts greater than 750,000. Proposed Resolution number 3, disposal of old brush maintenance site. Proposed Resolution number 5, that's disposal parcels 730-EX, 740-EX, REV1, 740-EX, REV1A, E-10EX, I-7 in US 6, US 24 in Parachute, Garfield County. And then finally, proposed Resolution number 6, the MMOF match reduction request for Routt County. So first of all, for the consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jones and a second by Vice Chair Bowman. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, now let's move on to proposed resolution number 4. This is the disposal parcel for 33 REV3-EX at the El Rancho Park and Ride. And I'm going to take Chair's prerogative after a motion and go ahead and make a few comments and then open it up to folks. So first of all, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Gutierrez and Vice Chair Bowen, thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I'm going to open it up for discussion and sort of exercise prerogative here, and hope you'll allow me to go first since it's in Jefferson County and I represent Jefferson County. I wanted to first of all thank you all for the amount of work and engagement and thoughtful input that you've provided, the work in censusing and so forth, you know, counting the number of vehicles and marshaling your arguments, and I'm sure knocking on doors and talking to people. We don't comment when people come before us in public comment session, but we do listen and we take it into account and very seriously consider it. So I just wanted to preface it with that. To recap, this was an RTD built and maintained park and ride until just a few years ago. And then they notified our CDOT, the owner of the parcel, that they no longer needed it. CDOT evaluated, as you've heard, and we don't in fact need the parcel for our uses. But more than that, we can't properly maintain it because, as I understand, we can't get our snow plows in there. And you have noted too in your input that it's not plowed in the winter. We can't do other kinds of maintenance because that lot was built for RTD's needs and equipment and operations. So in addition to those conditions making it substandard in some ways or coming to be substandard for the folks who use it, it creates a liability for the agency in the state. So in addition to those things, we importantly are opening the Pegasus Park and Ride just very nearby. It's 0.6 of a mile, and Google Maps tells me that's a 2-minute drive. And given that proximity, the ability to use that lot for similar purposes, and the fact that we can't maintain the existing lot, I think balancing all that I believe we should go ahead and authorize the disposal. I do want to stress that this doesn't actually affect the disposal. What it does is it opens up a new process, for example, taking first rights of refusal and so forth, and seeing if anybody is interested in it before it's opened up to the market. So I just want to tell you my reasoning on it and where I'm coming from, and to thank you again for your input. So other commissioners, any comments? Yes. Commissioner Gutierrez.
Thank you, Chair, for pulling this item. And I think when we have citizen engagement as a commissioner, I feel it's important for us to deal with these items in open session rather than on consent agenda, because I think it's important for us to honor the input from the citizens who have an interest in these items. And so you have pretty well laid out, I think, the issues involved with this particular park and ride. And but I do want to stress to the citizens out there that we do pay attention, we do listen, and we do take your input into consideration when we make these decisions. And I appreciate the chair's willingness to pull these kinds of items off the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion. Anybody else? Commissioner Marcano, go ahead.
Thank you. I actually have a couple of questions for staff, and I also want to thank a member of the public for this thoughtful presentation. So I'm just curious as to the connection at the Pegasus lot to the, I guess it's the Hennessy bike path here. It says it's mentioned on this handout that that's a CDOT improvement. So how are folks gonna, or I guess, what's the alternative to access that if the El Rancho parcel is no longer being maintained or utilized?
I think we have Hope Wright on the remote line. Hope, go ahead, please.
So I'm sorry, your question was how are we going to notify?
Well, the handout that we were given here demonstrates that, the Hennessy bike path is very close proximity to the El Rancho Park and Ride lot. And I was just curious if there were any considerations made for how can we preserve close access for folks to get onto that improvement.
I think that's a conversation I'll have to have with Region 1. I think that's a good point that you bring up. So I'll definitely follow up with a response on that one.
Okay, thank you. And I have just two more.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. The second item here is I want to talk about the roundabout shuttle. I'm not familiar with that, but with the handout here, it says that it connects to Evergreen. And also it seems to pick up at a nearby parking lot. It's not too far from the park and ride here. So I was just wondering again, is that something that we have taken into consideration for folks who are using the park and ride to access that amenity?
Again, I will have to get back to you.
Okay. And well, I guess I don't actually have a third one, but I'll just follow up on the comments about, it is concerning that we can't maintain that. So I understand that rationale. RTD has different equipment, smaller format plows and things like that to maintain those lots. CDOT does not. So I do understand that concern. But I would like to get some staff, a return from staff on those other two questions. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner McLaughlin.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you for all the work you've done representing the community here. And I know that's it's big and you've done a lot of work on this and I really, really appreciate that because I think we need that more than ever up here. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Yeah, I too want to echo thanks to the members of the public for engaging on this and the helpful materials you brought. I guess I share Commissioner Marcano's questions about the connectivity piece. Totally get the liability to CDOT, and CDOT doesn't have a need for it, but for the transportation purpose of multimodal connectivity, that does seem to be a transportation purpose that somebody needs to maintain unless it's provided for elsewhere. And it would be nice to confirm that before we dispose of that asset for transportation. So I'm new to this and I understand a lot of work is done by staff on this and this is not done lightly. But those are the sort of new outside perspective I would bring to this to say, have we checked those boxes?
I think by approving this, we will allow the staff to explore that. I don't know that I'm ready to condition it on preserving those uses. Unless you want to make a motion, we can vote on that separately.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Mickelbust.
Hi, good morning. Jessica Mickelbust, Region 1 Director. So I think the question currently we're talking about is the access to the Genesee Bike Trail from the current El Rancho lot. My understanding is there's a proximity access to it. The bike trail would continue to remain as a recreational resource. The trail in and of itself is not being impacted with the closure of the lot. My understanding is that there's a potentially a nearby access point from that parking lot to the trail. I believe there's also other access points along that trail. That was not the original intent of that parking lot. It was not constructed as a trail access lot. Does that help?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. No, that is helpful to know, but I kind of view this as a desired trail, right? When you see the grass worn out by people's, that's where folks want to go, right? So if that's a convenient access point for folks, I'm just wondering what steps can we take to make sure that people don't lose that, convenience and access, right? Especially, in the name of maintaining multimodal connectivity.
So I think as part of the next steps in the process, first right of refusal, some of those items can be looked at. We can evaluate that in the region if there's kind of an informal trail utilization, accessing it from the parking lot. We can take a look at that. I haven't specifically been out to look at that.
Could I add to that? I guess I'd also be wondering, do people park in the El Rancho park and ride lot now and then access the trail from that point? And are those people then, if indeed that is happening, can they make that same access safely from the Pegasus lot to that trail? So are we losing connectivity to that trail if people are accessing that way or putting them in unsafe positions? I'm just, are you going to be able to ride a bike from Pegasus to get to the trail? I'm not familiar with the details of that, but I guess that's part of the question as well.
Yeah, and so we haven't looked at since the lot has been abandoned or our lease has ended with RTD, we have not done an evaluation or a survey of those parking in the parking lot, specifically asking them, are you accessing the trail? Are you parking here to go shopping? Are you going hike? So we don't have the granularity of detail of who's parking there and where they're going. That would be something we would have to do, separately.
Commissioner Gutierrez. Oh, well, okay. Any other questions or comments? All righty. Let's go ahead and call the vote here. All in favor of proceeding at this point with this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed? Okay, looks like that goes. And again, Ms. Mouse, thank you for your input. And thanks to your friends and neighbors too who have participated. Okay, off we go. Next we have resolution number 7. This is discuss and act on proposed resolution number 7, second budget supplement of FY 2025-26. Jeff Sudmeyer, hello, welcome.
Thank you. This month's budget supplement includes 4 requests, each of which is detailed in memos from regions 3, 4, and 5 that are included in your packet. The first request is a request from Region 3 to reallocate $4.5 million to a new 10-year plan project, Colorado 82 near Glenwood Springs Safety and Transit, from another 10-year plan project, the Snowmass Village Transit Center. These funds were originally programmed to that transit center. It was going to proceed with a grant. My understanding is they've determined not to move forward with that grant and with that project as originally scoped, and hence the request to reallocate those funds to a different transit project. The Intermountain TPR, I will note, is supportive of the reallocation of funds between these projects. The second request is a request from Region 4 to reallocate $510,000 in project savings from a number of other completed 10-year plan projects to the Colorado 86 Corridor Improvement project in the town of Kiowa and Elizabeth. These funds are needed in order to address cost increases on that project, as well as accommodate the installation of an intersection conflict warning system, which is an added safety feature which has been requested by local stakeholders and traffic engineers on the project to address some safety concerns at that location. The third request is a request from Region 5 to reallocate approximately $12.5 million in unallocated funds and project savings from other 10-year plan projects to the US 160 Elmore's Corner East project. This will allow that project to extend the scope and essentially cover more distance on that corridor, moving further east on US 160. The fourth and final request is a request again from Region 5 to reallocate $2.5 million in project savings from a number of other completed 10-year plan projects to the Pagosa Springs Main Street Reconstruction and Multimodal Improvements Project. The funds are needed on this project to cover cost escalation related to soil and groundwater issues that were encountered during excavation. Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'd request you consider a motion to approve.
Thank you. Those transfers are listed in the resolution itself. Any questions for Jeff? Okay, well, go ahead and entertain a motion, please. Commissioner Masters?
Second.
Commissioner Marcano, second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Nope, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to resolution number 8. Discuss and act on resolution 8, policy amendment number 1 for the FY 26-2029 State Transportation Improvement Program, the STIP. Jamie Collins.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome all to all of the new commissioners. I am Jamie Collins. I manage the STIP for the department. I work in the Division of Transportation Development in our multimodal planning group. I was asked to provide sort of an overview, since we have so many new commissioners right now, of what a STIP amendment entails, basically the process. Kind of to back it up a little bit, we do have federally required planning regulations that we follow. That includes the development of the 2050 plan, which you all had the workshop yesterday for. And that looks out at a minimum 20-year window of what we expect the transportation system to look like, how we expect funding to look in 20 years, et cetera. CDOT always does at least a 25-year window, hence we're in 2025, we're looking at the 2050 plan. Once we have that long-range plan in place, we have the STIP. The STIP is essentially our 4-year program of projects that we hope to initiate, continue work on, or complete within that 4-year timeframe. We are in the FY 26-29 STIP that was adopted in May, and it is a plan, so plans change. As an example, I was planning to retire 5 years ago. I'm still here because the region planner in Region 3 told me I can't leave until he retires, which is in another 5 years. So, but as with the STIP, projects change, things change, and we have to have a process in place to incorporate those changes into the STIP. We basically have 2 types of changes that we do with a STIP. One is an administrative modification. These are typically very small in scale. It happens quite frequently if we have to go out and make a bid adjustment because bids came in higher than we expected, et cetera. It's usually kind of, they're just not very major. Then we have our STIP amendment process. Our guidelines state that we have 3 triggers to start a process for STIP amendment. Number 1 being, it has to be at least a $5 million change in funding to the project. The second trigger is it has to be a major scope change on the project. That would be like we're extending the beginning and end points on the project maybe 2 miles, or we're like right now on I-70, if we had a project and wildfire comes in and burns down all of the wildlife fencing, we're out there doing a project, we might as well include that wildlife fencing replacement on that project. That would be a major scope change. The final trigger for a STIP amendment would be if any action we're doing on that project triggers another environmental finding, we would have to go out for a STIP amendment. In this case, with the Stratton project out on I-70 in Region 4, we are adding $10 million to the cost of the project because it was deemed important enough to change the asphalt material or the pavement material from asphalt to concrete at the interchange for Stratton. Concrete is a far more durable material. It adds service life to the project, et cetera. As part of the STIP amendment process, we have to go out for public comment. I opened the public comment period for this amendment back, I think, on July 12th. It closed yesterday, and I have received no comments. I think that's pretty much everything I had to say about this. Anyway, if you have any questions about the process or about the project itself, I'm happy to entertain those. Otherwise, I respectfully request you to approve this amendment.
Any questions for Jamie? No, looks good. There is one. Okay, Commissioner Jones, sorry about that.
I just wanted to thank you for your great explanation of the STIP process and your the metaphor or the illustration example you gave for why plans change was very compelling.
I'll be sure to give Mark Rogers a plug for that.
All right, do we have a motion then?
So moved.
Commissioner Jones, Vice Chair Bowman, second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much for all your work. Okay. Do we have any no recognitions? And so we'll adjourn we're right on time. We'll adjourn the CDOT TC meeting at 10:05, 10:09, and then immediately go into the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise Board of Directors meeting. So I'll call that meeting to order, and Mr. Stockinger Herman, would you please call the roll?
Director Marcano.
Present.
Director Jones.
Present.
Director Gutierrez.
Here.
Director Ritter.
Here.
Director McLaughlin.
Present.
Director Parsons.
Excused.
Director Hart.
Here.
Director Masters.
Here.
Vice Chair Bowman. Chair Cook.
Here. Okay. Do we have any public comments for the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise Board? Nobody online. Okay, I think we're good to go then. So our first action is to act on the consent agenda. It's proposed resolution BTE, and that's to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 17. Do anybody have any changes or otherwise a motion? Moved by Commissioner Hart.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Marcano. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? All right, that's good. And that was a quick meeting. So we're going to adjourn the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise Board of Directors meeting in the immediate.
We do have one action item.
Oh, forgive me. Yeah, I better take off my glasses so I can read. Yeah. Patrick, did I give you a thrill there for a second? Please. Okay, so our first item is to discuss and act on proposed resolution BTE Number two, the second budget supplement FY 2025 and 26. I'm opposite of most people. I need glasses to see distance, but not near. I can't look nearby. So go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, directors. So I'm here today to request your approval of the second supplement to the fiscal year 2026 Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise budget. We have two requests this month, both of which are detailed in your packet. Our first request is from Region 1 to increase the construction phase budget for the I-70 Eisenhower Johnson Memorial Tunnel Right Lane Overlay Project by $983,354. So the budget supplement to initiate the construction phase for the project was previously approved by the board in June. You've heard about this project from Chief Stefanik and I over the last 2 months. The request would bring the total commitment from Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise to the project to just under $3.2 million. This would be funded from the Bridge and Tunnel impact fee and retail delivery fee revenues. So the reasoning for the increase is due to the bid results. So we received one bid for the project that exceeded the engineer's estimate. That was primarily related to unit costs for asphalt removal, asphalt, and mobilization. Staff reviewed the estimate and determined that the bid was fair and reasonable and typical of bids that we see at the EJMT facility due to its unique location on the I-70 Mountain Corridor and the challenges associated with working there. It was also determined that it was necessary to accept the apparent low bid price due to the severity of the rutting that we're addressing, the safety implications with waiting to or delaying the project, and the high likelihood that a delay would result in higher construction costs and really limited opportunity to increase competitiveness of the bid. So the other point that I wanted to bring up is from the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise lens. We don't anticipate any impact to other projects in our portfolio from this increase. We're able to fund this through releases and savings on other projects. So with your approval today, Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise staff would be able to fully reimburse the CDOT Region 1 maintenance pool, which was initially used to fund the project. So our second request is from Region 3 for $2.5 million in faster bridge safety surcharge to establish the design phase for the rehabilitation of the historic Red Cliff Arch Bridge on US 24. For those of you who are not familiar with Red Cliff, it's to the north of Leadville. So this is one of the most iconic and recognizable bridges on our state highway system and a very unique CDOT asset. So we're requesting funding for this major rehabilitation project at this time due to a recent load posting of the structure, the poor condition of the structure's substructure and superstructure, and the criticality of the structure from the lens of rural mobility and redundancy on the state highway system. There's really limited redundancy in terms of the routes that serve this area. So this bridge was initially ranked in the second tier of our bridge prioritization plan. However, with the load posting, it'll increase to the top tier of our plan in the next release. On that topic, as we do have some new directors, I did want to note the reference to our prioritization plan. So with respect to the poor rated bridges we have around the state, we have all of those that are input into a matrix that essentially looks at factors related to safety, condition, mobility, and other economic factors, and then provides a statewide peer-wise comparison. So when we say top tier, second tier, we essentially have those bridges divided into tiers. That top tier rating essentially gives us latitude to move forward and program those projects. So just wanted to provide that additional context along with this request. So with your approval of this budget supplement, the region will be able to move forward with the design phase of the project, which will ultimately perform the repairs necessary to remove the load posting and preserve the structure for years to come. One final note on the Red Cliff Arch Bridge, due to the complexity of this type of work, we do anticipate returning with future incremental funding requests as design progresses and the scope is finalized. So once we analyze the structure, get out and do a more in-depth rehabilitation inspection, we'll have a better idea of the resources needed to complete the project. With all that said, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I request you consider a motion to approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any questions, comments? All righty, I look for a motion to approve. Commissioner Masters?
I'll do the second.
Okay, Masters first and Bowman second. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? looks like you're good, and we won't be surprised when you come forward with additional requests. Thank you. It's a beautiful bridge. Okay, so now we adjourn that meeting and move on to the Fuel Impact Enterprise Board of Directors meeting. So it's 10:16 a.m. I'll go ahead and call that to order, and Mr. Stockinger, please call the roll.
Director Marcano,
Present.
Director Jones,
Present.
Director Gutierrez,
Present.
Director Ritter. Yeah. Director McLaughlin,
Present.
Director Parsons,
Excused.
Director Hart. Here. Director Masters. Here. Vice Chair Bowman,
Here.
Chair Cook.
Here. Thank you. Okay, any public comments? None here. All righty. Then we'll move on to our action item, discuss and act on proposed resolution number FIE 1. That's the FIE cost centers, the automatic roll forward inclusion with our other programs. So Garrett Seddon, please. Hello.
Morning, thank you, Chair.
Mhm.
So the resolution up before the board.
I think your mic is off. Mike.
My apologies. Good morning again. All right, so the resolution up before the Board of Directors today concerns a request to allow the FIE funds to be a part of the automatic roll forwards process to allow for past year's funds to be utilized in the current year. This action will require the approval of the Board of Directors under the current fiscal rules, which will allow the enterprise staff to continue processing payments to local governments for last fiscal year's obligations and required under Title 43-4 1506 of the Colorado Revised Statute, as well as for the board approved projects. I am happy to answer any questions and I'm asking for an affirmative vote on this resolution.
Okay. Any questions for Garrett? Okay, then we're ready for a motion. So moved Commissioner Hart and second by Commissioner Ritter. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll adjourn that meeting. And next, just because it's posted here, we have Transportation Commission retreat and board training. Herman, is that in this room?
No, we'll be up on the 5th floor where we have breakfast.
Okay.
And we have, 15, 20 minutes, we're a little ahead of schedule. So whenever y'all wander up, we'll get started, but no pressure on time.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you all very much.